Leenstra, a special education advocate with Special Needs New Jersey. Hi, Linda. Thanks for coming in today.
Hello.
Uh, Linda, I know you just had what you told me was a 3-hour meeting today, and it had me thinking about the incredible work that you do with families and all the ways that you support them, and both the children as well as the parents when going to meet with child study teams. Can you tell me a little bit about what the basic things are that families need to know when they're going to go before the child study team and advocate for their children in an the meetings,
IEP.
the IEP meetings?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the IEP meeting is an individualized education plan, okay, which is a meeting that you're called to figure out what it is your child needs or supports and things that they're going to need in school in order to learn at the way they know how to learn. The most important thing I tell parents is that meeting is yours. That meeting belongs to you. If it weren't for you and your child, that meeting would not exist. Okay? So that produces most of the anxiety. Parents get called to a meeting. I have to go in and meet with the CST, with the child study team, and they're going to tell me all kinds of stuff that I don't understand. The point is, that meeting is yours. You drive the train. So once you understand that, that's 90% of the ball game right there. So, understanding that this is your meeting for you, in order to prepare, you go with your agenda, which means literally formulate an agenda. What do you want to discuss? What are your concerns? What do you want to see done? Generally, before you go to this meeting, the school has already contacted you, set a time and a place and who's going to attend the meeting, and any evaluations or testing that was previously done with your child will have been sent to you, and you should have it in your hands 10 days prior to that meeting.
Is that really true for most families? They get that stuff ahead of time?
Yes. Well, if we back up a little bit, the first time your child is considered for classification, your child's struggling in school, they've been recognized by a teacher or someone within the school, or you request it yourself to have your child evaluated because you feel that child needs some special instruction. Then there's a process that happens, which a lot of parents don't understand. The first thing is someone has to request that they be evaluated. It has to be done in writing, or a teacher might suggest it to the child study team. The child study team will contact you, and then you would have to sign permission to have them evaluated in the different areas. From that process, then, once the evaluations are done, there are time frames, they're different for each state. In general, it's about 3 months that the school has to evaluate your child once that process is started. When the evaluations are done and all the reports are in, the school should contact you and say, they're here, let's get together and meet and figure out what's going to happen next. So at that point, they would contact you, send you a letter to say, we need to have an eligibility meeting. Okay, so that's the first thing that would happen after evaluations, or an identification of a problem. An eligibility meeting means they're going to look at the testing that they did, the performance of your child, and any input that you have given them, and decide, is your child eligible for special education services? There's 14, in New Jersey, 14 different classifications, either under autism, specific reading disability, blindness, deafness. There's 14 different categories.
Okay.
So based on the evaluations, they'll decide what category your child is eligible for special education services or an IEP. They can be found not eligible as well.
So you said that best case scenario, I guess, the parents would have the information about what's going to be discussed at the IEP meeting at least 10 days before that meeting. And you had mentioned maybe a written agenda of what the parent wants to have covered in that meeting, coming in with that agenda, taking ownership
Right.
of that meeting.
Right. Well, the information that they get 10 days before is the results of all the evaluations done on your child.
Okay.
So that's where most parents get a little confused. The anxiety kicks in because they get, 50 pages of this test, that test, this percentile, this that percentile. Here's your child's score, and you have to look at all this and figure out what does it all mean.
Hmm.
That's when you need someone like me, who can decipher that for you. The school can decipher it for you, of course, and that's what they're going to do in the beginning of the meeting that they're calling you to. Okay? They're going to go over all those numbers, the graphs, the percentiles. To your advantage, you're better off if you have somebody already decipher it for you before you go to the meeting, because many times the school district uses that reading of those evaluations as a somewhat hypnotic procedure, where they read you all of the results and the percentiles and use a lot of big words, and at that point, after an hour, you're glazed over and you have no idea where you're going, and you just kind of will yes to anything.
So all the fight is out of you at that point. You've just listened to this litany of test results about your child, and you don't feel like you have anything more that can be said after all of that.
Well, you're probably very confused because a
Yeah.
lot of terminology has been thrown at you, and acronyms, numbers that
Huh.
you don't understand where they fit on the scale of
Sure.
things, and they might throw it at you and give you a quick explanation, but you're already in a situation where your anxiety is up. It's you against 5 staff members from the school, and you're really kind of feeling a little inadequate at this point.
And let's just be clear. In your experience, how long have you been doing this educational advocacy work?
Over 10 years.
Okay.
More, yeah.
And in this time doing this work, is it your experience that the school districts try to be exceedingly generous with the child, or are they trying to save money wherever they can, providing maybe the necessary level of service, but not above the necessary level of service for the child? What is your take
Right.
on?
Well, I find generally it's same meeting, different day, different school district, but they generally seem to go in the same fashion, or use the same kind of outline, where this process of kind of confusing the parents goes on. I definitely feel that if you do not know what your child needs or what you want specifically, and it's not about what you want, it's about what the child needs by law,
Right.
the school is going to give you the bare minimum. So, which is another thing, the biggest enemy to a school, or the scariest thing to a school, is an informed, educated parent. The more knowledge you have about your child's disability, about the way the system functions, the better outcome you will have. And it's not about being adversarial. It's about coming in, meeting of the minds, and finding the best fit that your school can provide for your child's education. So it's all about working together, not working against. And unfortunately, a lot of school systems already have a knee-jerk reaction, because if a parent comes in, they're like, oh, here comes the parent. They're going to want something.
Well, I'm just thinking about the group dynamics of that. You've got potentially 5 or 6 child study team members, and then you've got 2 parents
Right.
coming in. I mean, I don't know if you've ever walked into an interview situation like that, just for a job interview,
Absolutely,
where
yeah.
there are 5 or 6 interviewers and you're the
It's very
only
intimidating.
candidate, but that's very intimidating. And
Right, which is another point that I make to my parents when they call for advice or whatever. I mean, these are the general tidbits that I tell them. It's your meeting. You drive the train. You have the agenda. Educate yourself before you go in there, and bring somebody with you, okay? The law allows for you to bring anybody and anyone who has knowledge of your child's disability. It could be aunt, uncle, grandma, sister, brother, lawyer, Indian chief, friend. Whoever you want to bring, and whoever you can get to bring them in. Give them all a pad of paper. Sit them in the back of the room and ask them to take notes, because an IEP meeting is a very emotional event for a parent. So the more people you have that are not emotionally connected, the better you are. to then decipher what has been said, what exactly transpired, what did I miss. Because after that meeting, you have time frames as well. Once the proposed materials are put before you, you generally have a 15-day review that you can look at the materials that were discussed before you have to sign anything into effect. So it's always good to bring a friend or someone else or talk to an advocate before you go to
Good.
find out what are your rights.
Good. Is there anything else you'd like to add about this topic?
Well, just some things that I generally tell parents if you call for a consultation. The thing about it, your meeting, but another important thing is in the collection of materials. Whenever you have a child who's classified, it's very important. You go out and get a big binder, okay? Copy, save, and file everything. Doctor's notes, evaluations, letters from teachers, letters from the school, emails, what have you. The other important thing is whenever you communicate with the school, always communicate with a minimum of 3 people. Either your child's teacher, your child's case manager, maybe the building principal, could be the head of special services, but always 3 people. Because that makes them accountable.
Whoa. So you're saying essentially when you have communication with one person at the school, make sure you have that communication with 3 people.
Make sure you copy 2 other people.
I've never even thought of handling things that way.
No,
How interesting.
and the last person I told that to actually sent me an email, and if you go on my website, it's up, said, boy, that 3 people thing, that really works.
Huh.
Okay, because if one person drops the ball, there's 2 others to count on, is one reason. It's accountability within the school system itself. Okay, so 2 other people know what that 3rd person might be doing. And if you have trouble with the school system or with your child's services, and you go down the line and say you find yourself in due process or in court, which you want to avoid, at least you have that backup of, well, I sent this to this person, that person, and that person, and nobody answered me. Or I asked this question, and they said, yes, that's fine. So, it all depends on the response as well.
So, I guess along those same lines, you would also recommend keeping meticulous records of the correspondence with school officials.
Absolutely. And email's fine. You don't have to send anything by, carrier or receipt.
Right.
Nowadays, everything's electronic, but you email 3 people. Make sure you get a response. Check the time of response. If you haven't heard anything in 2 weeks, basically whenever a parent contacts the school or the child's study team, they have 10 days to respond to you. So if you haven't heard anything in 10 days, you send it to them again or give them a phone call. Keep a record. I don't care if you're talking to somebody on the phone, if you're emailing, or if you ran into a teacher in a grocery line. Okay? Then you would word your letter saying, as per our conversation on such and such a day with such and such a person, this is my understanding of what was said.
Wow.
Or what the events of the meeting were. Always summarize what your understanding is back to the school. Because if you have misunderstanding, that should be immediately clarified. Okay? And you're showing them also that you either understood or didn't understand, or make sure everybody's on the same page. So you don't get 3 months down the line and say, I thought Susie was going to have reading instruction 3 times a week.
Right.
And apparently she's not getting that.
Huh.
That kind of causes a backtrack.
Good. Any other tips?
Oh, I have a lot of tips.
Well, should we save them for another time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks again for this incredible interview. We really appreciate it, and I know lots of people are going to benefit from the things that you have to share. Can you tell us how people would go about getting in touch with you if they wanted your help?
Yes. You can find our website at www.specialneedsnewjersey. That's all one word spelled out. SPECIALNEEDSNEWJERSEY.com.
Okay, that couldn't be more clear. All right.
No. And on the website, you can push a button and send us information or require about information. Also, you can email us at specialneedsnewjersey just NJ, special needs NJ, at hotmail.com.
Okay, great.
Or call 973-534-3402.
All right, that's great. And you had mentioned something to me about a 30-minute consultation too?
Yeah, well, we say half hour, but it usually turns out to be a little bit longer than that.
Okay.
So just call us with your problem, and we can get you started, answer some questions, and see where else we can help you.
That's
I always
amazing.
say my job is to work myself out of a job by helping you be the best advocate you can become.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch real soon. Thank you.
Great, thank you.